All right, let's dive right into this explainer. You know, if you've ever felt like Agile is just this trendy buzzword people throw around to justify endless stand-up meetings, well, trust me, you are definitely not alone. But today, we're going to discover how true Agile isn't just some arbitrary set of rules. It is a powerful, philosophical mindset that drives actual, real-world project success. We're going to unpack the core values that completely separate thriving, highly adaptive teams from the ones that just get hopelessly bogged down in endless planning and missed targets.
So, to kick things off, think about this classic project management dilemma.
How exactly are we measuring success? Is it by tasks assigned, hours logged, or by working increments of value? The source material makes it abundantly clear. The absolute best indicator of progress is delivering working solutions and doing it frequently. It's really not about how perfectly formatted your documentation is or, how many late-night hours your team logs staring at their screens. It's literally about putting a tangible, working increment right into the hands of your users. Basically, if the user can't interact with it, it's not progress.
All right, Section 1, the Agile Mindset. Let's take a look at how this forms the absolute foundation for handling unpredictability. Because at the end of the day, having the perfect framework is completely useless if the team's underlying approach is rigid.
Have you ever been stuck on a project where suddenly the market shifts and completely shatters your beautiful 6-month roadmap? It happens all the time, right? You spend weeks agonizing over a plan, only for a sudden shift to make it all entirely irrelevant. Now, a traditional team might stubbornly debate following the original plan anyway, just because, well, they already promised it. But Agile principles tell us that an organization responds best to complexity not by defining every ounce of scope up front, but by creating active learning loops. We absolutely have to adapt.
When that feedback hits and totally contradicts your plan, the traditional gut reaction is to kind of just build a wall, preserve the commitment to that original roadmap no matter what. But the Agile mindset, it demands empirical process control. You have to prioritize validated learning over those outdated assumptions. You reassess based on the hard evidence right in front of you. Because honestly, ignoring market feedback just because it ruins your spreadsheet or disrupts your planning cycle, that is a massive failure of adaptability.
Which brings us to a really fascinating tool for understanding our work environments, the Significant framework. Now, when you're operating in what it calls a complex domain, like a highly volatile tech market, for example, cause and effect are entirely unpredictable. You literally cannot write a step-by-step instruction manual for what's going to happen next. Instead, you have to rely on emergent practices, which is really just a fancy way of saying you have to figure out what works by experimenting in real time. Detailed upfront specifications are just far less effective than adaptive discovery.
So the crucial takeaway here is that in these super complex scenarios, your immediate game plan always needs to be probe, sense, and then respond. You run a safe-to-fail experiment, that's the probe. You gather the data and analyze it, that's sensing. And then you adapt your strategy, and that's responding. Think of it kind of like A/B testing a new checkout button on a website. You don't just guess what the user wants, you run a test. You sense the clicks, and you respond to the actual data. Moving on to Section 2, empowering teams to succeed. Because honestly, you can't navigate all that complexity or run these rapid experiments without fundamentally changing leadership and empowering the actual humans on your team.
Picture this. You've got a newly formed, supposedly empowered team, but they're asking for manager approval for literally every single decision. They rely entirely on the Scrum Master to tell them exactly what to do next. The source material points out that this is a major red flag. It highlights a massive cultural transition challenge. The leader's job isn't to be a glorified taskmaster or to hoard all the decision-making power. They need to actively push that autonomy back to the team where it actually belongs.
A traditional manager usually just assigns tasks and demands compliance. But a servant leader? They measure success by how much the team grows and their delivery capability. Servant leadership isn't about running away from authority. It's about actively shifting power to the team. They're the ones holding the umbrella when it rains, right? They enable autonomy, they facilitate collaboration, and they hyper-focus on removing the corporate red tape and all those little impediments that slow the team down.
And you simply cannot have true team autonomy without psychological safety. It's the absolute bedrock for that fail-fast, learn-quickly experimentation that Agile demands. Look, if leaders publicly blame people for mistakes, they completely destroy this safety. But when psychological safety is high, team members can challenge assumptions openly, share risks, and admit mistakes entirely without fear. That right there is the true engine of continuous improvement.
Okay, Section 3, prioritizing real customer value. Let's pivot from the team's mindset back to the customer, because an empowered team running incredibly fast in the totally wrong direction is, well, still failing.
It is so incredibly common for a product owner to get hit with these urgent executive requests that directly conflict with what users actually need. Maybe a feature is the CEO's pet project, so it has huge visibility but zero actual customer value. So how do you handle it? The Agile answer is firm. You prioritize based on validated evidence, not the loudest voice in the room or internal corporate politics. You have to step back and objectively reassess where the real value lies.
This is where formal prioritization models save the day, allowing us to objectively balance long-term delivery capabilities with validated customer evidence. Take the Moscow method, for example. It helps you sort work strictly by business urgency, your absolute must-haves versus your nice-to-haves. Then there's WSJF, or weighted shortest job first. This one is fantastic because it mathematically balances the financial cost of delaying a feature against how long it'll actually take to build. And finally, using the invest model ensures that every single story you write is independent, testable, and completely ready for action. I absolutely love this quote. The strongest indicator of product success is customer outcomes, not velocity. It just perfectly anchors every single backlog decision to the ultimate Agile truth. Outcome is always, always more important than mere output. It seriously doesn't matter how incredibly high your team's velocity is if the customer isn't benefiting. True product success is measured by the actual outcomes we achieve for the people using the product.
All right, Section 4, optimizing delivery and flow. Because having a fantastic, value-packed backlog is great, but efficiently moving those items through your system is another beast entirely. So, when you visualize your work on a Kanban board and suddenly spot a massive bottleneck, say, everything is just piling up in testing, what's the gut reaction? Well, the instinct is often for developers to just keep coding. But Agile dictates a completely different path. You don't add more development work to a traffic jam. You have to immediately swarm that testing bottleneck to clear the blockage. Think about the difference between just cramming a funnel full of stuff versus creating a nice, even, steady stream.
If you optimize for local efficiency, meaning developers just keep developing no matter what, but the overall delivery pipeline is blocked, the entire system suffers. You're experiencing system-level sub-optimization. This is exactly why strictly enforcing work in progress, or WIP limits, is so incredibly vital. It literally forces the team to finish old work before starting new work, which naturally improves your overall flow. And by tracking the right metrics, teams can proactively cut out lean waste, which is basically any effort that doesn't add value. Velocity is great for capacity. It measures how much work you complete in a sprint. But if you want to understand how responsive you actually are to your customers,
You need to look at cycle time, which is how long it takes an engineer to complete a single piece of work once they actively start it, and lead time, the total waiting period from the moment a customer requests a feature to the exact moment it's successfully in their hands. Finally, Section 5, measuring true Agile success. Let's pull all of these pieces together and look at how we measure the holistic success of an Agile transformation. Imagine this. You're celebrating a massive release.
you hit every deadline, managed those WIP limits flawlessly, shipped every planned feature, and then you launch and it's just crickets. Nobody is actually using the product, or worse, your net promoter score totally plummets. It's a painful realization for sure, and a classic indicator of weak value alignment. Because delivering features rapidly is completely meaningless if you're aiming at the wrong target. An output-obsessed team just celebrates a high volume of completed stories, but a true value-driven team, they insist on validating their assumptions. If usage remains low, you don't just blindly build more features. You hit the brakes, grab your magnifying glass, and investigate the customer experience drivers to find out exactly why.
So, if there's one crucial takeaway from this explainer, it's this. Agile frameworks, Kanban boards, all those prioritization models, they're really just tools. The underlying values, validated learning, servant leadership, and a relentless focus on customer value are what actually drive your project's success. It is all about making a fundamental mindset shift away from predictive certainty and towards
Empirical discovery. I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder as you head back into your own complex work environments today. How are you going to champion this mindset tomorrow? Will you be the shield that protects your team's psychological safety? Will you prioritize raw evidence over executive intuition?
Start small, fail fast, learn quickly, and just watch your team's success soar. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.